Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2, Chapter 4.6, Day 2. Today we're going to be talking about function notation. Our learning target today is to be able to use function notation and to evaluate functions in function form. So, Chapter 6 has been a lot about graphing. All right, we've talked a lot about slope-intercept form. Okay, so an example of slope-intercept form would be y equals 1/2 x minus 5. And we have talked a lot about this, okay? Where the 1/2 is our slope, the m, it's our movement. It tells us the direction, what to do. The -5, yeah, that's the y-intercept. It tells us where to begin our graph. So what we're going to be changing to is what's called function form. And the only main difference with function form is the beginning. All right, this new part up front, the f and the x, that's saying f of x. It's saying that this is a function. And then they're going to tell us what x is, and then we plug it in to get an answer. Okay, so this is a new way of looking at older equations. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with example number 1. Whoop. Zoom in, Mr. Grice, come on. So if f of x equals -4x plus 7, so they're telling us this is our function, find f of 5. And what that means is, hey, look at me. We're going to plug in 5 for x. And that's it. Okay? So the way we would write this, we would say f of 5 equals -4 in parentheses, that's where we're going to put the 5, plus 7. So wherever there's a variable, that's where we're going to plug in that number, whatever number is in parentheses. This time it just happened to be a 5. Okay? And now we solve. And we solve by following the order of operations. Okay? So order of operations, we would multiply -4 times 5, which is -20, and then -20 plus 7. What'd you get? Oh, come on, you can do it. You better not be using your calculator. It's -13. So our final answer, we would say f of 5, and that equals -13. Once we get everything by itself on the right-hand side, we stop. Okay? We don't move anything else. F of 5, this part, stays the same. We don't do anything with that 5. We don't try to get the f by itself. We're saying that every time I plug a 5 into this function, we would get -13. And that's it. That's all we want. Okay? Let's do another example. Okay? It doesn't matter what that first variable is, guys. Okay? So if g of x equals 11 minus 8x, find g of 2/3. So what that means is we're going to take this 2/3 and we're going to plug it into the x. Okay? So g, and we're plugging in the 2/3 equals 11 minus 18. And then I'm going to plug in the 2/3. Okay, so all we're doing is we're going to follow order of operations. I need to know, I'm going to do this off to the side. 18 times 2/3, and remember, you can put that 18 over 1. Zoom in for all of you guys sitting in the back. And I'm just going to multiply straight across. 18 times 2 is 36. 1 times 3 is 3. And then I need to reduce the fraction. So 36 divided by 3 is, that's right, 12. And that's where I'm going to plug in that 12. So this was all of my side work right here to get that answer. Okay? So 11 minus 12. Well, what's 11 minus 12? That's right, it's -1. So g of 2/3 equals -1. And we stop. Nothing else. Okay. Let's look at example number 3. So if f of x equals x squared plus 9x minus 2, find f of -3. So everywhere there is an x, that's where we're going to plug in the -3. So -3 squared plus 9 times -3 minus 2. Okay. Now, order of operations, PEMDAS. Remember, if you need to write it down so you don't forget. Now, I know it says to do parentheses first, but inside the parentheses, there's just a -3. Okay, so we really don't have to do anything. So exponents. Remember, -3 squared is saying -3 times -3, which is what? Yeah, it's a positive 9. Now, that's the only thing I'm doing in that step. So after we do exponents, the next is multiplication or division. We can do 9 times -3. 9 times -3 is, that's right, 27. And now all we have is addition and subtraction, so we can go left to right. 9 plus -27, or just 9 minus 27, is -18. And then -18 minus 2 gives us -20. Okay, so I'm just going to write my final answer over here. F, the function f of -3, because we plugged in the -3, equals -20. And I'm done. That's where we stop. Okay, so if g of x equals 8 minus 16x squared, find g of -1/2. Okay? Now, no writing IDK on it just because there's a fraction. No math babies allowed. So 8 minus 16, and this is a -1/2. So 8 minus 16. So the first thing we have to do is exponents. Now, we could go -1/2 squared, and we've talked about this, I think it was chapter 2, where we distribute exponents and we worry about that. And I know some people had just a lot of trouble with that. So I'm going to write it out just like we did in Number 5. Number 5. That was number 3, Mr. Grice. Okay. So what's negative 1/2 times negative 1/2? And remember, when we're multiplying fractions, we multiply the numerators, we multiply the denominators. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. And then we always check, can we reduce? Nope. So that is 1/4. And now we need to do 16 times 1/4. So 16 over 1 times 1/4. I know a lot of you guys are good at cross reducing. You can do that if you want to. I'm just going to go straight across. 16 times 1 is 16. 1 times 4 is 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then 8 minus 4, hopefully you guys are not using your calculators for that. Okay, 8 minus 4 is 4. So we get g of negative 1/2 equals 4. Sorry, I'm going to make that look a little nicer. There we go. All right, let's look at the next ones. So for example 5, we're using this equation. Okay, so let h of x equal 1/2 x minus 8. And now they're saying find the value of x. So we don't know what x is. They're saying, hey, find it. So that h of x equals -2. Ugh, that's weird. Don't worry. They're telling us that the h of x equals -2. So wherever that h of x was, that's where I'm going to put -2. And we're going to set that equal to the 1/2 x minus 8. Okay? So what do you guys want to do? How do you want to solve it? Well, see, now that we're solving for a variable, this is where we would use the reverse order of operations. So now we're using SADMAP. Okay, so the first thing that we would do is we would add 8 to both sides. -2 plus 8 is, that's right, 6 equals 1/2 x. Now, how do we get the x by itself? Well, it's being multiplied by a fraction, so the opposite of multiplication is division, right? You're right, except we're talking about a fraction. So instead of dividing by a fraction, we always talk about multiplying by the reciprocal. 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2. And 2 times 6 is 12. So we get 12 equals x. Now, there's a way to check this. If we're saying that x equals 12, I could come back here, plug in 12, and I should get -2. Oops. So I'm starting off with our original equation, and let's see what happens. So as we're solving right here, half of 12, what's half of 12? Yeah, half of 12 is 6, and then 6 minus 8 is -2. So h of 12 equals -2. Now, you don't have to do that. That's just Mr. Grice making sure I got the right answer. Okay? So find the value of h so that h of x equals 10. We're going to set this up the same exact way. Okay? 10 equals, and we're using the same equation, the 1/2 x minus 8. It's okay to work ahead of me, guys. You can do it. Okay, this is right here, this is all chapter 3 stuff. We're going to add 8 to the other side. 10 plus 8 is 18. And then same thing. How do we get the x by itself? Well, we multiply by the reciprocal. And then 18 times 2, we get 36. Now, if you don't believe me, you can plug it in. Okay? Feel free to do it. I've already done it once, so I don't have to double check. All right. Now we've got a new function. So let g of x equal negative 3x plus 1. Find the value of x. So we're trying to find x. We're solving if it equals negative 5. So they're telling us once again that the g of x, we're going to plug that in as negative 5. So negative 5 equals negative 3x plus 1. Okay, solve. Well, how do we solve? That's right. Well, the first thing we want to do is cancel addition with subtraction. Negative 5 minus 1. Be careful here. It's not negative 4. If you borrow $5 from me and then you borrow another one, hey, guess what? You owe me $6. Okay, and then how do we get the x by itself? Well, we divide by negative 3. A negative divided by negative is a positive, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. All right, last one. Find the value of x so that g of x equals 1/2. So this 1/2 is going where the g of x goes. So that's 1/2 equals, and then make sure you write this down, the negative 3x plus 1. Okay. How much do you guys like working with fractions? On a scale of 9 to 10? Or 9 to 10, a scale of 0 to 10, I'd say you like working with fractions about a 0. Okay? Remember, in chapter 3, we taught you how to get rid of fractions. You want to multiply by the lowest common denominator. Well, guess what, guys? It's a 2. So if we multiply everything by 2, I can cancel the 1/2. So 2 times 1/2, what's half of 2? If you don't know that off the top of your head, do it off to the side. 2 times 1, 2. 1 times 2, 2. 2 divided by 2, yeah, 1. Half of 2 is 1. Okay, and remember, we have to multiply everything. So that turns to a negative 6x. And everyone always seems to forget that last guy. 2 times 1 is 2. And now we can go ahead and solve. Okay, so we're going to subtract 2 to both sides. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then to get the x all by itself, we divide, and we're dividing by negative 6. A negative divided by negative is a positive. And remember, I don't want the decimal, guys. Leave it as a fraction. And then our final answer is 1/6. Okay, well, that's it. Now, your homework is on the back side, the 4.6 practice B. And this is a pretty good review of everything we've done so far. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, please come find Ms. Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra 2, Chapter 4.6 Notes, Day 2. Thanks for watching.